The Worst Equestrian Necromancer, Chapter 19, Part 2. The next plinth held another male statue. He wore no armor, just simple clothes. The shirt had short sleeves and had a wolf portrayed on the front. He was kneeling, a red box with a white cross open in his lap. Beneath the wolf, words were printed. "I hunt the things that go bump in the night." Chance had a slight feeling and moved to the statue's back. Sure enough, 3 sentences were on the back. "There are wolves, there are sheep. I am the sheepdog." Last Chance considered the statue. That seems like something some sort of god would have, but the first statue matches the god better. He rubbed his chin for a moment before heading back to look at the statue's face. Taking a closer look, he saw pure determination. Its eyes were narrowed, and a large rag was held in its teeth. Looking towards the box, he could see a needle in the statue's second hand, a single drop of liquid at the end of it immortalized in stone. Once again, items stood at the base of the plinth. The first was a metal chain with 2 oval tags hanging from it. Its text was too small for Last Chance to try to read without disturbing the necklace. The second was a cracked plate of unknown make, almost broken in half by a powerful force. It seemed like the plate was a piece of armor, though he had no idea what had broken it. The third item was a scrap of paper. It was easily read, as it only had 1 word: sin. Under the word was a collection of 15 tally marks. Last Chance moved to the plaques, feeling as if fate itself was forcing him to look at these ancient lives. He squinted his eyes, looking over the first plaque. "The tags of noble sacrifice. This necklace denotes one who is signed on as a protector of our home. While many do not see the true tragedy this necklace can bring, our group has now seen true horror. May these remind us that our own home is not as blameless as we may believe." Last Chance shuffled away from the necklace. "Hello, probably cursed necklace, and goodbye." He moved to the next plaque. "The Broken Death. This piece of armor saved the life of our greatest healer. May it stand as a testament to the risks of our undertaking. Even random chance, it may try to kill us. We must be vigilant." He moved to the final item. "The Tally of Sin. This shows the greatest sins of our healer. It is modeled after the brand he chose himself, etched into his skin. This is a reminder for us. May he never again be forced to pick up a blade or bow." Last Chance stared at the paper again. He was beginning to understand the statues a little, or at least this particular one. He moved to look at the last statue, of a little girl with a carefree smile on her face. But as he began to approach, he was startled by a voice. "Who are you?" Last Chance jumped towards the source of the sound and saw death itself. At the entryway was a skeleton. It wore a robe of solid black, and in its hand was a small bag. It was staring at Last Chance with an emotionless face. There had occasionally been creatures in the ruins that he explored, but none have ever talked to him, especially when they looked dead. A single thought crossed his mind. This was his mausoleum, and Last Chance had broken the lock and wandered right in. The skeleton continued.
"Once again, who are you? Who has entered Rhaegar's most personal sanctum?"
Last Chance unfroze and tried to think of a way out of this. Stalling for time, he bowed his head low. "I apologize. I didn't know that this ruin was inhabited. I am Last Chance, explorer and delver into the unknown." Rhaegar looked over the pony.
"Did you not see the sign? Rhaegar only barred 1 room, and several explorers have found his ruins before. Why did you break into the 1 room still locked?"
Last Chance suddenly felt less clever about his lack of communication with the other explorers. Sure, involving them might cut into his profits, but he wished he had been warned about this. "I didn't know. I thought they were under preservation wards." He tried to think of some way to get out of this situation. He had gotten the lead on this place from a Minotaur sage. Maybe that could help. To be honest, I was told to come here. He paused again, trying to think of something to say that would ensure his safe passage home. I think he was a friend of yours. He looked sort of like you, if he had skin. Rhaegar paused. When he spoke again, it was quiet, but filled with hope.
What did they look like? Where were they?
Last Chance seized the opportunity, hoping to escape the situation with some smooth words. Of course, he was about 10 hooves tall and clothed in steel plate. I ran into him in minnows. He spoke crudely and asked me to deliver a message to anyone who might be in the ruins. The skeleton was so excited by this that it began spinning in place.
Oh, by the great bones of the world! Rhaegar's solitude might finally be broken! He has not seen any of his friends since before the vile curse that separated him from his own family.
His spin turned into a dance.
Tell me, Mr. Chance, what did he say? What did he say?
Last Chance paused. This was not the reaction he had been hoping for. Perhaps the skeleton would let him leave if he said something suitably vague? He said that if I ran across the ruler of the sunken city to say... He cleared his throat, trying to make it sound deep and imposing. Tell that old bag of bones that I'm traveling around and he should hurry up and track me down. As soon as his sentence finished, the spinning abruptly stopped. The voice that had been nearly laughing was now deathly still.
He said that? Word for word?
Last Chance gulped. Yeah. Is that not what you wanted to hear? Rhaegar turned slowly and set the bag down while staring into Last Chance's eyes.
Do you know much about how memory works when stuck under the effects of a long-term healing spell?
Last Chance paused, but latched onto the conversation topic like a shipwrecked pony without a lifeboat. No, though I've always had an academic interest in magic. Rhaegar walked forward, the clacks of bone on the cold stone the only noise in the hall.
When someone is placed into a higher power healing coma, they lose the memory of the last few hours of their life. Much like a pony who drinks too much, they will not remember what happened prior to needing such intense healing.
Rhaegar paused at the Stone Guardian and raised a skeletal hand to touch the armor.
All but one of the people these statues are modeled after are in such a coma. When they awaken, they will find a notebook filled with a wealth of information, bar one fact. Can you guess what that fact is?
Last Chance flinched as Rhaegar's head snapped to him. Empty eye sockets betrayed no emotion as Rhaegar seemed to shine with power. No, sir. Rhaegar's cloak exploded outwards as he flew through the air, closing the gap between them in an instant.
There is no mention of me turning into this damnable lich! I will show them my stained soul myself!
He lifted Last Chance up by his throat with both skeletal hands and started to squeeze before a light sparked behind his eyes. Pausing, he held Chance off of the ground with one hand and threw his other hand out. Black smoke rose from the floor, and from it a bestial hiss was heard. After a moment, an alicorn with furless black skin emerged. His horn was shattered, though held together with magic. His wings were bat-like, but with numerous holes dotting their membranes. Where a normal pony would have a tail, was a scorpion stinger, coiled back as if ready to strike. He opened his mouth as if to complain before seeing the morbid image in front of him. Dad, what happened? Rhaegar seemed to waver in place, his skeleton warping.
This thief broke into my home and then had the gall to lie to me. Here, in this very room, he claimed to have seen one of my friends. Talk to me, son. Keep me from crushing his throat like a fragile glass tube as I so dearly want to.
The alicorn stepped closer, and Last Chance's eyes darted between the horrible alicorn and the terrifying skeleton. He was unsure which figure was scarier. The furious skeleton holding him by his throat, or the monstrous alicorn looking over the scene and remaining calm, as if this was just an ordinary day. The alicorn put a hoof on Rhaegar's back. Dad, she would never forgive you. Maybe a long time ago you would have killed him, but not now. Now you know a better way. Let him atone. Silence reigned for a few moments, and then Last Chance felt a brush of hot air on his face.
You are right, son.
Rygar dropped Last Chance like an empty sack. Before he even had a chance to regain his breath, let alone run, red smoke began to rise from the ground. No scream could gain purchase as the smoke flew into his mouth, nostrils, and ears. His body spasmed as the smoke flooded into him. The alicorn flinched, looking away. That's disturbing. Rygar said nothing, instead simply staring. The spasms continued for several minutes before the body stilled as the smoke poured back out, coalescing into a small red orb floating in the air. With a wave of Rygar's hand, Last Chance's body disappeared. He turned to the orb.
You are free to go wherever you wish. Nothing can see you and nothing can harm you. I am the only one who can even communicate with you. Your punishment is simple. As you lie to me about one of my friends walking this world, you yourself will wander until that lie becomes the truth. If you bring me information about ruins or artifacts I have not yet discovered, I may reduce your sentence. Now go, and don't come back for at least 30 years.
The orb quickly flew off, leaving the hall quiet once again. Rygar walked up to the statue of the little girl and cradled her face with his hands. After a moment, he collapsed to the ground, where he stayed as Black Sun trotted up and wrapped his father in his wings. The hall filled with quiet sobs. Wow, that caught me off guard, holy shit. That was probably one of the first things that he's actually done that was genuinely evil, I think. Anyway, let's get on to our not evil donators. Top donators: Cat-gjf, Zar630, J10Man, Only One Thing, Ceru, Orion, and IronSky. Darkside, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Rolan, Stu Hex, Swordbrother and Mordred, Omicron Lyre, Will, Chris, Twinkie, Ridesoul, Badass Waffle, Shadow Moon, Luigi88, Chancellor Crust, Big Smoke 369, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.